Hey everyone, Warrax here. So, episode 2 of the Soapbox is going to be more of like a news reaction and me just talking about kind of some things that I think are pretty neat. In the background, we have my Evoker, who I got a level because tank spec coming on the Evoker soon. So, we're going to talk about that today. We also have, over here, Happy Frog, because we have some really good positive changes and one change that I understand, but I'm not necessarily the happiest about. So we're going to talk about that today. Let me slide this camera back over now that you've seen Happy Frog. There we go. All right, so as you can see here with this on Wowhead, let me blow this up as I normally do, and I'm going to shrink my camera here. There we go. So we have our weekly Season 2 Mythic Plus affixes update, Explosive removed, and Volcanic returned. So if you haven't been following the Mythic Plus changes, Explosive has gone from basically being a whack-a-mole thing to where they would spawn less frequently, but they had more health, basically making them a priority target switch type thing. Or you would just eat the damage that it would do and make your healer push through it and make it a healer problem, even though Explosive has always been a healer problem in most high-end groups. So Blizzard has ultimately put out this blue post, and we're gonna read it in full, and then we'll give my thoughts on it. Excuse me. As we continue to watch everyone play Mythic Plus on the PTR and take in your feedback, we wanted to share additional changes to this week's PTR. Our changes this week aim to further lessen the impact of affixes on Mythic Plus dungeon gameplay and to match our more challenging affixes to later Keystone levels as players progress through the system. We've been evaluating our affix tiers and their impact on Keystones. While we feel the change to bring affixes online at Keystone level 7 and 14 is healthy, we wanted to also ensure that the right level of challenge is coming online at Keystone level 7 and 14. With that said, we feel our current level 7 affixes have a larger impact on the moment-to-moment gameplay for groups and have decided to switch the levels that our Keystone affixes come online. So this is a big change on 3 levels. Currently in the Keystone system at Keystone 2, you get Tyrannical or Fortified. At Keystone 4, you get what are called the on death affixes. So Spiteful, Raging, Bursting, Bolstering, Sanguine, Grievous, things that are like either on death or health percentage based. And then at level 7, that's when you would get at level 4, you would get the you get the on death, and then at level 7 you'd get the periodic affixes, volcanic, storming, things like that. So what they've done is they now flip this, and of course they increased the level from 2, 4, 7, and then a 10 for seasonal to 2, 7, 14. So at level 7, we're now getting our periodic affixes, which are Afflicted, Incorporeal, and Tangling, the 3 new ones for this batch of ones. For the most part, I think they're mostly just fine. I haven't done a ton of testing with them, but the reaction to them all is kind of mixed. And then, of course, we're getting Volcanic and Storming back as normal. And then at level 14, that's when our on death and health range affixes are coming in with Spiteful, Raging, Bursting, Bolstering, and Sanguine, which means that Grievous is now also out of the pool, which I'm very happy about. All right. They've also made some updates to the affixes. In addition to the change above, we're also reviewing the impact of our affixes and made tuning adjustments with the goal of lessening their overall impact on dungeon gameplay. So Explosive, of course, retired. Incorporeal, now these beings, basically they bring up beings and you kind of have to handle them. Usually it's with some sort of CC. They now fade away when combat with non-incorporeal beings has ended. So basically, if you kill a whole pack, incorporeal beings now disappear instead of being around like Spiteful, which I think is a good change. Entangling now has a smaller snare effect, has a visual indicating the maximum range of the vine, so you can outrange this if you're lucky enough. And then it has a distinct sound cue when it applies to players, so be able to hear it in-game without having to customize through a weak aura. I think this is good. Anything that they do to make the default UI better is always a good thing. Afflicted, they made this health scaling on the Afflicted Souls stop at Keystone level 20 and no longer scale after that. I'm a big fan of that. At level 14, the Spiteful Shade's melee damage has been reduced by 10%. Good. Can you put this in now, please? And then their health and damage no longer scale after Keystone level 20. Also good. Raging. Raging now grants immunity to crowd control effects for up to 20 seconds upon reaching 30% health remaining. Wasn't increased damage done until defeated. Does that mean it's immune to like slow snare stuns and hopefully not kicks? Because if it can't be kicked, then that's going to make some mobs very, very dangerous. So we need to see what the testing brings on that. And bolstering no longer affects the health, only does damage. And they made the sanguine ichor puddles now last for only 12 seconds versus 20 seconds, which I think is also a very positive change. I'm a big fan of all of this. I think this is great. Does it fix all the affixes? Does it fix affixes in general? Maybe not. I think there's still some tuning and tweaking that probably could be done. But we'll just need to get on PTR and really play with it to see kind of what these new affixes bring to the table and how they go about impacting gameplay. But overall, I think on the whole, big W for Blizzard and Mythic Plus. I think this is a really cool thing. All right, the other news that we want to talk about specifically is the Season 1 sockets that are removed. So the basics are that if you craft something like the Unstable Frostfire Belt or Elemental Lariat or Signet of Titanic Insight, stuff like that, where you will have items that can have sockets with them. When you upgrade them, you got your sockets still. All right, but that was only on Season 1 items. Season 2, there's a whole new way to do item upgrades with the Spark of Shadow Flame, a new system on that. I might touch on that closer to the release date of this patch, which is coming out May 9th, I believe, or May 2nd. So we'll probably touch on that in a video at the end of this month, kind of talk about what the new crafting system is going to look like. All right, so professions. To support the new Spark of Shadow Flame, recipes that require a Spark of Ingenuity. Now let you choose which spark to use in the required reagent section. That's cool. Sockets added through the Season 1 Great Vault will be removed when recrafting an item to Season 2 levels with a warning prompt. This is the big thing that they're looking at. So basically, if you have like a triple socketed Elemental Lariat, when you upgrade that to, say, let's just say like 435 item level, with the next season's crafting stuff, you're gonna have to redo the sockets in that. That's the impression that most people are getting. I get it. I don't like it, but I get why they're doing it, because basically it kills the tokens out of the vault system, and basically makes it so that you never have to, like, when you choose the tokens, you just don't get a socket out of it anymore. So it's kind of keeping the normal reward loop in place. All right, to make it clear who's providing which materials, crafting orders now show icons representing the crafter and the customer next to reagent. And then a message also appears above the start order button if not all reagents were provided. Good change. Player name column widened to make more room for realm names in the crafting orders list. Good. The undo button for adding optional reagents moved inside the optional reagent flyout. I like that as well. It's a small little customizable quality of life adjustment, and then adjustment the alignment of prices in the crafting orders UI. So good stuff there. But the big thing to kind of note here is that you will lose your sockets on your crafted gear as you go from Season 1 to Season 2 levels for item level. Again, I kind of get why they're doing this, but it doesn't necessarily mean I have to like it. All right, and then they also did some course crafted item tuning, class tuning, and the leech stat got nerfed. So we'll see what goes here. So leech rating now gives 25% less leech stat, which is basically it's providing to be too much. And to avoid marginalizing the importance of the healer role to a group survival, reducing the value of leech by 25%. Leech percent granted by talents remains unchanged. So I think this is kind of coming down to two factors here. One, because you have much higher percentages of leech coming through, because you can now socket leech on your you can enchant leech on like your bracers and on your cloak and stuff like that. I think they kind of didn't fully understand just how much leech DPS classes were having if they went like a full leech plus any tertiaries that you're getting from your gear. And I think overall this makes it so that leech probably was doing too much, which is a big contributor to things like the 4 healer key or the 4 DPS keys that we talked about in the last Soapbox episode, kind of becoming very valuable. Plus you have a lot of specs Like I know Warriors have Leech built into their class tree. I think Demon Hunter has Leech built into their class tree. I mean, you were getting specs that were having something like 20 to 25% Leech if they kind of got the right gear, got the right enchants, and their talents kind of just making them sustain monsters on their own, to where, like you said, healers kind of were pushed out as a result. Alright, so they rebuffed Ferocious Bite. Cast Bite can invoke the spirits back to be 5 combo points instead of 4. This is because Feral has been scaling out of control downward. I don't think this change should have ever been made in the first place, but it's in. But for the most part right now, I still think Incarn is still better in a lot of places, but Convoke is going to start seeing its way into builds, I think, with this next patch. And then they adjusted the 4-piece. When a Shadows of the Predator application resets stacks, you gain 5% increased agility, and you generate 1 combo point every 2 seconds for 8 seconds. This still doesn't change the fact that the Feral Tear set bonuses, the 4-piece in particular, is just hot fucking garbage. It is bad. Alright, and then they bug fixed Restoration. They bug fixed Beast Mastery with Animal Companion. They buffed Charring Embers for Fire Mage on afflicted targets to up to 5%. Frost has been adjusted. Flurry and Ice Lance damage increased by 15%. Flurry causes an explosion on impact, dealing 35% of its damage to nearby enemies. So some numbers tuning there. Frost Mage mains, let me know how much you like this change. I don't know. Mistweaver got a 10-second cooldown on Feline Stomp, which is good, because if you don't get the resets, it just, you kind of felt bad, man. Calming Coalescences moved to a choice node with Nourishing Chi. I think that's fine. And then they did an update change to Chrysalis. And then Windwalker 4-piece now only modifies the damage dealt by Shadow Flame Nova. I think this is probably fine. I think it's fine. Alright, Avenging Crusader got a nerf / buff. So it got the base transfer of damage done was brought down. Basically, Avenging Crusader, for anyone not Holy Paladin legit, is that Avenging Crusader basically made it so that it kind of turns you into a damage into healing type situation, similar to like Disc Priest and a few other specs, healing specs have. But they made it impacted by mastery, so depending on your mastery levels, this could be a net buff. I still think overall it's probably a small net nerf, but probably not as big as when people saw, you know, almost a 200% drop in the transfer damage. Alright, Discipline Priest got a small bug fix to Divine Aegis to double dip in absorption increase or reduction mechanics. It's probably fine. Disc is still looking pretty nice. And then it once again creates an absorb shield for the amount healed, and they buffed that up to 510 from 3.6. So good. I know Disc Priests are pretty happy overall with what's coming for them in 10.1. I'm of the opinion that I'm kind of fucking tired of Disc Priest being the raid monster healer. Would love to see it be really good in Mythic Plus. I think Mythic Plus Disc Priest play is like some of the most fun gameplay to watch when you have good players behind it. Bloodlusted Hero got a massive mana cost reduction from 21% to 2%. That's fine. Okay, and then Spirit Walker's Grace got a nice little grace period added to it to kind of make its interactions with spellcasting feel a little bit more fluid. I think that's a very good change. Destruction Warlock got Channel Demon Fire change again on their 4-piece. I think for the most part, Destro Locks and Warlock mains are still not happy with this set overall. They're not, like, they feel very pigeonholed into Channel Demon Fire. I tend to agree. I think the things that force you into playing a specific talent is bad. So we already talked about the affix changes, items and rewards. So a lot of the crafted items saw some damage increases, probably to keep their scaling in place. I think the big one to look at is Blue Silking Lining, Flaring Plow, Venom Steep Stompers. I'll see some nice little buffs. I would love to see the shield on here get a change, but it's still not there. PvP I don't care about. Sorry PvPers, I just don't focus on this. And we've already talked about this. And then the in-game mail font has been changed to be better, and then a free new toy has been added to various innkeeper food and drink vendors. that basically makes it so that the Niffin sounds don't occur. Overall, I think this is pretty solid. The Mythic Plus changes are obviously the highlight of everything here. The class changes are kind of whatever. I think it's just small tuning things that aren't going to be big influences on the meta of what you might be doing right now. So kind of is what it is. So overall, I really like the changes that we got from Mythic Plus. The profession stuff I think is tuned correctly. The leech stat nerf I think is fine. I'm a movement speed and avoidance guy personally because I play paladin and death knight, so movement speed is nice to have, and then avoidance on warrior is nice because it is a mobile class and has leech built into its kit already, so being able to reduce damage from area attacks on warrior in particular is good because you're basically relying on leech and your 30-second impending victory to heal you. So I think the leech stat nerf overall, it's fine. I think it hurts healers a little bit, but maybe it pushes healers into things like avoidance or speed, depending on what they want to do. And it kind of balances out the tertiary stats a little bit better, which I'm all right with. I think that's fine. Anyways, guys, that's the video for all of this. I think these are good changes. This is a big W a day for Blizzard. They should be proud of the changes. Everything I've seen on Twitter is also like people very happy with everything. Explosive being gone, I think, is the biggest W that they have in this particular patch. I think it's a great decision to kind of take it off and maybe work on it offline without impacting live gameplay. And they can work on it in like experimental servers and stuff like that. So big wins overall on that in that front. So until the next video, I hope you're all staying safe. I hope you're enjoying yourself. You're having fun. You keep on gaming, and I will see you all in the next video.